Are we good? I think we're good.
I think we're good.
We're filming in my car, which is a pain in the ass. Okay. We were just arguing about Scott Pilgrim, but that's neither here nor there. We were at World's End.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
That was really good.
I think probably in the interest of the fact that everyone needs to go see this movie, we should go into it a little bit before we do any spoilers.
Yeah.
It was really, really good. It was really, really funny. It was definitely an Edgar Wright.
Very much so, yeah. It was definitely an Edgar Wright movie. Definitely Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg script. I mean...
Well, it's purported to be the end of the Cornetto trilogy. I don't know that it necessarily felt like a culmination, but it definitely felt, in keeping with the other two, that being Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. There was a Cornetto reference, but we're going to get into that later. In this one, it seemed very much... Okay, so in Shaun of the Dead, it's kind of about Shaun's character breaking loose of the sort of rut that he'd worked himself into via zombies. In Hot Fuzz, it was sort of about Simon Pegg's character working his way out of the emotional rut he'd worked himself into via cabal. I don't know, what would you call them?
Yeah, that works.
Via evil fascist cabal. In this one, it feels like Simon Pegg's character is in a rut, and then there's robots that aren't actually robots. So it is sort of
Smashy Eggmans.
Smashy egg. They're discussing the different things that they could call the things. It's definitely in keeping thematically. I had some issues with the ending, but definitely go see this movie. It's really, really funny. It's really, really well written. It is kind of abrupt the way. See, if you've watched the preview, they're out in a bar crawl, and all of a sudden there's robots, so they have to fight the robots. It's really well written. It's comedic, while also being heartbreaking. It kind of reminded me of Hot Tub Time Machine, in a way.
In a way, it's a different kind of humor. Mm-hmm. I think the themes are a little different. Like towards Hot Tub Time Machine, maybe Simon Pegg's character has a little bit in common with a Rob Corddry character. Mm-hmm. But I think the character's better developed in this.
Oh yeah, well no, I'm not. I definitely like this more than Hot Tub Time Machine, which is saying something because I adored Hot Tub Time Machine. But it's the same sort of like men at that certain stage of life trying to go back to their heyday. In Hot Tub Time Machine, it's definitely all of them. They want to do this, although they're definitely doing it for Rob Corddry's benefit. In this one, it's Simon Pegg that is kind of getting all of his friends together that used to go out drinking with him when they were in school, and wanting to do this pub crawl that they had tried doing in their youth, that they'd only gotten to like the 9th pub out of 12, and trying to attempt it again. And they're all way past that point of like going out and getting ruined, but they go along with it because he's really kind of a charming little fucker.
He's a charming little fucker. He's an unabashed bullshitter in it too.
Well, he felt very much like that 90s guy.
Yeah.
Like that grunge, drugs to the gills. They make a horse joke at one point. Like, oh yeah, I'm back on the horse. Like, oh no, you're back on the horse. Like, no.
Yeah, it's I think the main difference between, like, he's likable, but in the other two movies, he's definitely like, in Shaun of the Dead, he's like the hapless schmuck that you kind of root for. Mm-hmm. And in Hot Fuzz, like, he's the hero.
Yeah.
In this, he's kind of,
In this one, he's the fuck up. Whereas, in Shaun of the Dead, Nick Frost was the fuck up.
Well, he's a fuck up in Shaun of the Dead, too, I think.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, overtly fuck up, then. Because in Shaun of the Dead, he's not doing too well for himself, but he's still, got something of a life. Whereas in this one, it's pretty much a shambles. And, Nick Frost plays the straight guy, and they're still like, bestest best friends.
They hadn't spoken in years.
Yeah.
I guess the basic setup is that Simon Pegg's character, he's going through that midlife crisis kind of thing where he wants to go back to the glory
I
days.
don't think it even was a midlife crisis because he
No.
hadn't gotten to the midlife point. It was that
Crisis of personality, maybe?
nothing had happened to him developmentally since the 90s, since they did this pub crawl, whereas all his friends had kind of advanced and gotten like wives
Yeah.
and kids and actual factual jobs. I don't know that he actually did anything for a living. He seemed to just,
No, he seemed to be...
for all intents and purposes, homeless because he was just like living out of the beast being his car.
No, they shot him in the beginning with an apartment.
Oh, did he?
That little montage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A tiny, shitty little apartment. But
Could be like a YMCA room.
yeah, he's overly fixated on this one night that was the last night of high school, and when he and his friends attempted a pub crawl, and that's the best night of his life, and he's been fixated on it apparently for a good 25 years, and he wants to relive it. Kind of like the last grasp at things. So he
Well, the fun thing about this movie, I think it's what reminded me of Hot Tub Time Machine, was that it didn't just lay all the story out for you right away.
No,
it was kind of like he invited his friends out, and then as the night progressed, you find
conned
out
his friends out.
what had happened between then and now to have like alienated all of them and made him estranged from his best friend, Nick Frost. And I think that's what made it heartbreaking, is because it wasn't just a rock block of sadness and then a rock block of comedy. It was like comedy and then, oh my god, horrifying realization, and then comedy and then horrifying realization, and then comedy and then somebody dies and then horrifying realization and then more comedy. So it just kind of it throws you all over the place, and I love a movie that does that.
Yeah, no, it's. I enjoyed it's definitely.
It's always
laugh
hard
out
to
loud, too.
talk about a movie this good because I can't even nitpick anything. It was.
There's nothing to nitpick. I mean, there's things to talk about there, but yeah, I mean, honestly, everything's so well done. There's nothing to nitpick. We can talk about things. I think it definitely, writing wise, I think it's obviously they've grown a little bit. The focus is still definitely Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but at the same time, the supporting cast has a lot more oomph to them. Whereas,
Well, these are always ensemble pieces, I figure. Because
not so
it's
much
definitely
Hot
two main
Fuzz.
guys. Well, Hot Fuzz has got all the police officers, and it's got the fascist cabal. It's got main characters, but they're just barely main characters, and that the other characters are strong enough that they're backing them up. I think we should probably get into spoilers at this point.
Yeah. So they're out drinking in their hometown that none of them have lived in 20 years. Mm-hmm. And they're doing this. It's 12 bars, and the idea is they're gonna have one drink each.
Except for Nick Frost, who is
He's
a recovered alcoholic.
I don't even think recovered alcoholic. He just decided not to drink anymore.
I'm pretty sure that when you crash your car from driving drunk and decide to be he was calling it teetotaler then.
Yes.
He was a teetotaler.
But that's not necessarily a recovered alcoholic. I mean, alcoholism's a whole different bag. And
Mark Maron puts it as wait, was it Mark Maron? So some comedian put it as I used to drink. No, it's John Mulaney.
yeah.
I used to drink and then I liked it too much, so I had to stop.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily alcoholism either.
They never really went into whether he had to be medicated to quit. Is that
No,
how you're...
no, not at all. That's not even alcoholism either. Alcoholism is, for all intents and purposes, a disease.
It is a disease, and there's no all intents and purposes about it.
But I didn't get the idea that Nick Frost's character was a recovering alcoholic. I just got the idea that he had that moment in life where he's like, fuck this, and was done. A traumatic moment.
It's a stupid thing to argue about, but I got the impression that maybe he wasn't Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas alcoholism, but when they're at that moment of crisis where they realize they're being attacked by robots and they're trying to figure out how they're going to get out of town. And they're like, oh, okay, you know, Nick Frost's character is still sober enough to drive. Look over to him, he's just pounding shots. Maybe there's a little bit of a problem there.
I think in that situation I'd be pounding shots too. You would too.
Whether he was an alcoholic or not, he had quit cold turkey. And so they were going around to these pubs and everyone was having a beer except for him. He was having tap water, and Simon Pegg was, let's use the character's name. Nick Frost's name was Andy. Simon Pegg's was...
Gary.
Gary.
Gary the King.
Yes, Gary King.
There's only one Gary King.
Gary was such a douchebag character too, and I loved him because like he was giving Andy crap for not drinking when Andy had like said, "Okay, I'll come out with you, but I'm not drinking because I've quit drinking." And then they sat down and he bought him a pint and he's like, "No, tap water." He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Just little douchebaggy things like there's this girl. It's one of their friends' sister that Gary had hooked up with at one point and that his friend was in love with. And she showed up and they're like doing battle with the robots and she falls down and Gary walks over to her and he like holds out his hand and she's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Cigarettes? Could you hand me my cigarettes, please?" Alright.
But yeah, they're out drinking and they're in this bar and Gary's he's a little lit and he's in the bathroom talking to this kid. This kid's not responding to him, so he does the dickhead thing and tries to push him. And the kid goes, "Don't do that." And they start, they're wrestling a bit. And, kid's head pops off.
Blue shit starts squirting out.
It's like the action figure plug. That's the design aspect I like. Like all the joints.
Yeah, it looked like a Barbie plug.
Yeah.
When you pop Barbie's head off.
And it was same with like the He-Man toys and shit in the 80s, yeah. With like the little rubber head pops off and it's that little plug. Mm-hmm. And he's just freaking out and his friends all come in, they're screaming at him.
Well, they're screaming at him because he had lured them out in the auspices that his mother had died a week ago. And so he stormed off because they weren't drinking properly. And his phone was sitting on the table and it started ringing and it was his mom calling. So they went in to tell him off and the rest of the guys noticed immediately that there was a headless corpse on the ground. But Eddie was like, no, you're not warming out of this one, God damn it. Your mom's still alive, you little fucker. He noticed eventually, though.
And then they start fighting the robots, and it turns out that this town is pretty much all robots now. And it's all the people they knew when they were kids, and everybody except for a few people are robots.
Mm-hmm. You kind of got the sense that like if you move away from your hometown and you go back and like everything's so different and no one seems to know you anymore, when you had ruled the streets in your youth, it felt like that. The movie definitely captured that tone, and then it turned out that everyone was robots. So you kind of have to wonder if that's where the idea came from.
Yes. It's a distinct possibility. I understand that feeling very well, actually. But I
think most people, it's a universal feeling of going back to your hometown and it feeling like a completely different area, and it's a universal feeling, I think.
Because, I mean, to a certain degree, you're a different person, too, and that's why people don't know you. But, yeah, it's...
Stupid Sarah's cart. Whip. There we go. But it's a universal feeling as well, I think, of, taking stock of your life and being like, perhaps I'm not as advanced as I should be. I mean, we're not man-children the way that Andy is, It's a very specific kind of fuck-up, but definitely that feeling of like, of all of your friends are further along than you are.
Yes.
You hit that point in your life at some point, It's like there's some sort of guideline of how progressed you should be at a certain age, and I think that it's kind of they'd hit almost 40,
Yeah.
And he was still, wearing his trench coat.
He was still, like...
dyeing his hair black.
Still very, like, early...
Trying to vault fences.
Early 90s British goth, the fucking Sisters of Mercy t-shirt.
With a Sisters of Mercy tattoo. Matching the t-shirt exactly on his chest.
Well, like, way too many rings for his own fucking good. Just... It's the kind of dude he, like... go out to a bar and you see the one goth dude, kind of way too old to be goth, drinking by himself, and you just kind of go,
He's a creepy old guy.
oh man. It makes you sad to see, but at the same time, you're like, well, I bet his inner life is really great, but probably not. Nothing against goth kids, you know, it's great, but fuck, that's gotta end sometime.
I think that's what's appealing for Edgar Wright's movies is that it has something that everyone deals with, and then also zombies. But they figure into it's kind of like Buffy is for me in that it addresses problems that teenagers actually go through, but with vampires.
Yeah.
Like the vampire pertains to the teenager problem that Buffy is having, whereas like here the robots pertain to the grown-up man-child problems that he's having.
Well, and I think that's something that Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg both get from old Romero zombie movies, where not
It's definitely
necessarily
like a reflection of the human condition.
yeah, but they make it more specific and personal to a degree.
Yeah, this isn't like Pride and Prejudice and zombies. It's like it's masterfully intertwined.
Yes. And
I fucking hate that book.
God, that book sucked.
And I was talking to Mr. Darcy, and then all of a sudden a zombie showed up.
But even the other two movies in this trilogy are pretty action based, but this one way more so.
The fight scenes are gorgeous.
Well, I think that's a lot from Edgar Wright, like working with a lot of wire teams and stuff on Scott Pilgrim, and like getting more of an action director kind of thing going for him. And I think he brought that over, and I wouldn't be surprised if he used a lot of the same people to do that stuff. But
the problems I have with Scott Pilgrim notwithstanding, the fight scenes were very good in that movie.
Yeah. The fight scenes were excellent in that movie.
But in this movie, it seemed like in the other two there are a lot of like kind of barroom brawl style fight scenes, where in this one it was definitely more wire work extravaganza.
But like still barroom brawl style wire work.
The main guys, like the good guys, were doing like the barroom brawl style fighting against like these flippy kung fu robot-y guys. So like you'd go to punch a guy and then he'd like twist around and jump up around your back and attempt to suplex you.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're like all five of these dudes, except for
Peter.
Except for Pete, who keeps kind of scrambling around and hiding, but he's the little Weasley guy.
He wasn't Weasley; he was adorable.
Yeah, well, they're all still like it's barroom brawl style fighting, but it's so like fucking like drunken ninja style, like drunken master, like Simon Pegg's just like leaning against shit and dodging and elbowing.
It wasn't even drunken master; it was drunken barroom brawl.
Oh yeah. But he's still drinking while fighting.
Well, because it's really important to him that he finishes this pub crawl, because it's all he has going for him in his life. So, like, they're having a fight scene, and he's, like, reaching over to get the important, the pint that he has to have at this bar before they can move on. And whenever they're trying to, like, figure out how to get out of the situation, he's like, what we should do is go to the next bar on the bar crawl and figure it out from there.
And they all start going along with it because he's the only one with an idea.
At that point, they were drunk enough that it seemed like a good idea. I did, like, the drunkenness, you did definitely feel the progression of it, because, like, at the beginning, they've got this sort of scene where they're all sitting at the table, just kind of staring at each other, and then they start opening up, and then, actually talking about it, and I think that helped as well with the progression of the story.
No, absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing, it's one of the rare movies where the action's really good, and I really wish a lot of the past couple action movies I've seen would take notes from this shit. Like, you can tell what's going on, but it's still chaotic.
Oh, yeah, because, like, a lot of times you get, like, too much of the shaky cam.
Oh, God, Elysium, like, if Elysium's last big fight scene had been directed anything like these, it would have been so much better!
But that was Robo Matt Damon, right? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Ooh, fun.
But,
we should probably close our windows.
Yeah, possibly.
We'll be right back. That was Robo Matt Damon.
Yes, that was Robo Matt Damon. And that movie was, still torn about that movie. I don't know if I liked it or not, but, the fight scenes were just way too, like, jumpy and shaky cam. And,
and like, the thing about a fight scene is I like to know who's winning.
Yeah, and everything, there's no shaky cam in this at all. I mean, there's lots of quick cuts and short, brief things, but...
And they do, like, the cut to a thing, cut to a thing, cut to a thing, cut to a thing, like they did in Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
They did that
in Hot Fuzz, too.
Hot Fuzz when he's, like, loading up his his guns and stuff.
They do that with the guns, and then the beer pouring shots, which they do in both those movies too.
Oh, yeah, and they did that in this one as well when they get to each pub. I kind of like, speaking of Hot Fuzz, I want to watch this movie again, first of all, because it was really, really funny, and I think I probably missed some of the jokes because of the chuckleheads behind me. But also because in the beginning of the movie, they do kind of a rundown of the pub crawl that they had done in 1990, and I'm wondering if it matches up in any way.
It did.
Yeah, so I want to watch it again to see if it, like in Hot Fuzz, like to shoot all the little guys who get to waltz away with the cuddly monkey, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was like the succession of.
I don't remember.
When
I'm good. It's one of those things where once you find out who done it, you want to go back and see where he was during the murder scene, so to speak.
Yeah, it's in the beginning of the movie. There's a order in which, in the pub crawl, when they're teenagers, there's an order in which the characters kind of drop off in the course of the night, and it's the same order.
Yeah,
it's the same order. The events are a little different, but it's the same order, and it's at the same places.
Yeah,
and I noticed that, but the movie moves along quickly enough that I think there are.
Yeah, they even lost Peter halfway between the two places, like in the middle of the park.
Yeah, they had to leave him in the park on a bench. Yeah. And it does end with like the 3 of the 5 guys, and it's that same order.
The 3 Musketeers.
Yeah, but
4 if you count D'Artagnan.
But okay, so into straight up spoilers, I guess these robots, they're not.
We told them spoilers already.
Yeah, well, fuck it. These robots, they're not like evil robots.
Well, they're
not
kind of
intentionally evil.
Accountancy, I'm going to force you to be better sort of robots.
Yeah.
Like, we found your planet, and you guys kind of suck, so we tried to insinuate ourselves to make you better, Stepford Wivesy style.
Yeah, yeah.
And so...
And not even necessarily Stepford Wivesy style, it's like, we're going to take over this amount of your population.
Everyone instead of just the women folk.
Yeah. We're going to take over this amount of your population and like in an attempt to teach you to be better people. And of course it's human nature and alcohol. And fuck you! How dare you!
Yeah, they like this brilliant speech that the 3 guys give to the big fuck off lamp that's apparently in charge of all these.
Voiced by Bill Nye.
Yes. That's basically, the human race is the most belligerent fucking race. We don't like being told what to do. So, and now we're getting into the ending. The aliens are like, fine, fuck it, bye. And they leave, but when they leave, it causes this pulse that just wipes out.
Like a giant EMP.
Civilization. So you find out that the whole time it's been Andy telling the story to a bunch of guys around like a barrel of fire, like you have in the post-apocalyptic world.
You have to have a barrel with fire in the post-apocalyptic world.
And it's
necessary.
Yes, which is the quintessential barrel of fire. So he's kind of doing like the rundown of where everyone is. So like the Peter Blank. They had this whole big discussion on what to actually call the robots, because at first they were calling them robots, and then 2 of the robots were like, wait, we're not robots, because robots comes from the word roboticus, which means slave, and we are not slaves, we are very happy. So they're trying to like figure out what to call them, and it comes down to Blanks, Blue Bloods, and Smashy Smashy Eggman.
No, because the Blanks were, the Blanks weren't robots.
The Blanks were the robots, because remember at the end they had the signs no blanks. Yeah, the Blanks were robots.
The Blanks were robots? I thought
empties were the ones that...
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, basically what happens is they copy your DNA, they make a robot out of it, and then they turn you into mulch.
Yeah. Could you help the environment? There was a very weird focus on, like, going organic.
Yes. It was a little bizarre.
So, like, the Blanks sort of because when the aliens left, they just kind of left the Blanks there. So they kind of reintegrated themselves into human society. So, like, Peter went back to real Peter's family and just kind of started living with them, and the wife, like, Peter's wife didn't notice.
Or chose not to.
So it was fine, and, what the fuck is that guy's name?
Bilbo.
Yeah. Fucking Bilbo Baggins. Had half of his head blown off. Well, blank Bilbo Baggins. And so he basically like made himself
Martin
a
Freeman
top of a
is his
head
name.
with a soccer ball and went back to selling
Draw
car
little
insurance.
eyeballs on it.
It was kind of adorable.
Yeah, he went back to selling real estate.
And Gary, bucking the trend of actually learning a goddamn lesson at the end of these movies, gets the old gang back together because they had made blanks of like all of his friends as youngins, like they were in the 1990s, and made himself a gang and just started roving the wasteland, getting into bar fights.
He had a fucking longsword
I don't know where he got he had a cowboy hat and a bandana.
and a longsword.
They're in like Great Britain. Just roving the moors with the longsword.
There's cowboys everywhere. The longsword I can completely understand. It's Great Britain. There's got to be those fucking things
He
everywhere.
just has his leg around. It's like
Pro-
you find a castle, and it's somewhere in the castle. There's like a rock with the sword in it. You become king of that particular castle.
They're just on the wall, in an X formation, on a shield.
No, just laying around in the
Yeah,
field.
no, definitely.
It's like Easter, but with swords.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's very, very good, this movie. And there, at the very, very end, he's talking about going organic. He's like, and I can't think of a single processed food that I miss. And then a cornetto wrapper just, he's like, oh.
yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was fucking laugh out loud funny the entire time, especially Smashy Eggman.
Yeah, and I did almost cry a couple times because it was very moving. These boys.
Yes. There are several moments where it's like, oh God, I want to hug you.
Yeah, and like you could kind of see it coming. Like they didn't try to like spring plot points on you. They let you figure it out for yourself about 5 minutes before the movie revealed it. But the movie didn't reveal it like, hey, I bet you didn't figure this out. It was kind of like, and now the characters are in on it as well as you. Like when they were trying to make sure that nobody was blanks, and they figured out that when the blanks are created, it doesn't have any scars on it. So they were kind of like comparing scars, and everyone's scar was basically a time at which Gary had fucked them over. And they're like, Gary, you've got a scar on your elbow from that one time that, we were riding on the bike and,
Yeah.
you fell off, and so let us see your arms. And he's like, no, you can't fucking see my arms. I tell you what, I'll prove that I'm human. And starts bashing his head on the wall until the blood starts trickling down. And you think, fuck, he tried to kill himself. And so then, you're kind of just waiting for them to figure it out too.
Yeah.
And eventually, his coat comes off and he's got the bandages. And it isn't like a, it's sort of like a, oh, Gary,
Yeah.
Or like, when it's obvious that Bilbo, his head is his duplicate.
Yeah.
Because like he had this sort of like birthmark right here on his head that's like a little 6, so they called him like Old Man Inside of the Devil, and he had gotten it lasered off, and so early on in the movie he goes into a bathroom and then comes back out kind of chipper, and he turns his head and you see that the scar is still there, and then keep dropping more and more hints that he's totally been replaced, and at one point Nick Frost walks up to him, he's like, wait a second, you were out of... Wait, it wasn't Nick Frost, it was Gary. He was like, wait a second, you were out of... 90s version of you was out of commission by this point in the evening. I like this version of you so much better! And then they just keep on going.
Yeah. Well, at that point, they're also fucking hammered, too.
I was like the way it's clever, but it lets you in on the cleverness.
Oh, yeah. It's
without being full of itself.
Without being full of itself and without being overly telegraphed. You're slightly ahead of the events, but it's for your benefit.
Yeah,
not
it's on purpose.
Because they're not telling the story as well as they could be.
Mm-hmm. Not because you're smarter than the movie, but because they wanted you to know ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck, this is the second best movie I've probably seen all year.
It's definitely up there. I'm pressed to think of a movie I liked better. But I love me a comedy. So, final thought, awesome? You want to do previews?
Awesome.
You want to pause it?
I'm trying to remember.
And we're back. We got Time Travel-y Love Actually. Have you ever seen that one before?
Oh, I haven't gotten the trailer for that one yet, but I've read a little bit about it. What was that? What the fuck was that called?
It's called like Just in Time or About Time. Was it About Time?
Something like that, yeah.
Time travel is life, but less of a bummer.
Yeah, kid finds out that he can,
The butterfly effect, but less of a bummer.
like,
His dad like
time travel rom-com. This kid, his dad is Bill Nye, and he sits him down and goes, "Hey,
We can travel through time. He's like, this is a really weird joke, Dad. He's like, but it isn't. He's like, okay, but it is. He's like, but it isn't. Then they do like the flustery Britishy thing. But
yeah." So apparently, like he's using his newfound ability to travel through time.
and get Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, and it's
Worth it.
well, yeah, absolutely. But it's not like he can travel. It's not like he thinks really hard about it and he can travel back in time. But it seems like he's traveling back into his own body, not like suddenly appearing somewhere like the fucking Terminator,
He's like
naked on his fucking knee.
Retconning himself.
Yeah, and I guess the impression I was getting, like he's just trying to get Rachel McAdams and he keeps fucking up, so he goes back like a little bit.
It seemed like he managed to get Rachel McAdams, and then his dad died, so he went back in time to make his dad not die, and it ended up resulting in him not getting Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
It's one of those previews that basically is a tiny little movie in and of itself, so maybe there'll be surprises, but I feel like I've already seen it.
Yeah, and I don't know, it looked cutesy, but not necessarily good. We did get the trailer for Machete Kills, though.
Oh my god, it felt, you know what it
Robert
felt like?
Rodriguez is losing his goddamn mind, and I love it.
It's like they lost me at Charlie Sheen as the president, but it felt, the gags in the preview felt like Naked Gun gags. But I love the Naked Gun, so maybe I'll like it.
Yeah, well, you know.
I think it feels less exploitation-y and more like, derp derp derp, this lady's got guns for tits.
Lady's got gun for tits.
Derp derp derp, Charlie Sheen's the president, what?
His name's not Charlie Sheen, didn't you
Derp,
read,
derp, derp,
read the
Machete.
credits? He's Carlos Estevez.
Machete don't tweet.
Machete don't tweet.
Oh, it's a switchblade. Wacky.
Fucking Robert Rodriguez. I think he's just reached this point where he's like, fuck it, what do I want to see today? Alright, everybody come over, let's do this. It's like Brad with a fucking budget.
But, what else did we get? Oh, we got that weird Ben Stiller thing that I keep seeing.
Oh, the,
It's like the secret life of
Walter
Ben Stiller.
Mimney? Something like that? I don't know, I think that trailer looks fucking amazing.
It does look amazing, but it looks a little artsy for me. I don't like, because it's basically like this dude that keeps having these like Andy Richter show flights of fancy, where like he's like walking past a Life magazine poster, and all of a sudden he's in the Life magazine poster. Like he leaves his office and like jumps on a helicopter and gets like dropped into the ocean and smacked in the face by some Sherpa. And I have no idea like how much of it's real and how much of it isn't. But Kristen Wiig, that was Kristen Wiig, wasn't it?
was.
She actually did look really, really pretty. She's got like brown hair, and I think it suits her.
I don't know. Just from the way that trailer looked, it looked beautifully directed. And that's why I'm looking. It's like, all right, cool. And I like it when Ben Stiller actually does, like, I'll freely admit that more often than not, I don't really care for Ben Stiller, especially in a lot of, like, the straight-up comedy stuff he does. But every once in a while, Ben Stiller throws out a fucking movie that I fucking love.
Well, for me, he's hit or miss. Like, I do like Mystery Men, but he is probably my least favorite part of that movie.
I like Quiet Awkward Ben Stiller.
I like Royal Tenenbaum Ben Stiller.
Royal Tenenbaum's Greenberg, going back quite a ways, Zero Effect.
Oh, I love Zero Effect.
Like Reality Bites and shit like that. Like, I honestly believe Ben Stiller is a very, very talented man. And I am a fan to a certain degree, but I'd say about 70% of the stuff he does I really don't fucking care for. I don't care for him in it. Like, I really like Tropic Thunder. He is, by far, in my opinion, the worst part of that movie.
He wasn't even in that. Robert Downey Jr. just killed it for me.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned Zero Effect, though, because that's one of my favorite movies, and he's the straight man in that. And I think he plays a really good straight man.
He's a great
got the kind of like puppy dog eyes and really good genetic comedic timing.
Yeah, he's one of those guys
Steve Arlo.
Yeah, he's not often a straight man, but I think he's a great straight man. Like, I really think Will Ferrell is an amazing straight man. On the rare times that somebody actually gets him to be the straight man, he kills it. He does an amazing job as a straight man. And I think he's 20 times funnier as a straight man.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really like the plastic face sort of humor, except for early Jim Carrey, because he's adorable.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura was a really good movie. I don't care if it's aged poorly. That movie was a tour de force in its day.
I always liked The Mask more, personally.
The Mask was good too. I love The Mask.
But yeah, and I like some of the Will Ferrell goofy, stupid shit too. But there just comes a point where it's like, all right, that's enough of that. But yeah, I look that Secret Life of Walter Mimney, I think, or something like that. I'm looking forward to that.
Secret Life of Ben Stiller.
Yes, yes.
I can't remember what else we got. I always think that I should write it down, and I always mention that I think that I should have wrote it down, but I forget. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna. Oh, fuck me, we got Ender's Game again.
Yeah. We'll save the Orson Scott Card conversation for when that movie comes out.
I'm gonna see it, of course I'm gonna see it.
That fucking man.
But every single time he opens his goddamn mouth, I want to just find him and shake him like a maraca.
I really want his latest craziness to come true. I want Obama to...
Oh, the roving urban gangs?
Yes, because I want Obama to be Cyrus from the Warriors. I want to see Obama standing on a playground in a park going, "Can you dig it?"
He can be soft to be like, can you dig it?
No,
yes,
no,
yes,
no.
we can dig it.
Exactly. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
It's raining, so we'll have to do the rest in the dark. You lean forward. You're fine.
Well, just...
I hate filming in my car, but the problem is that Brian and Brad's movie was at a different theater, so we're actually like we're in the auxiliary vehicle, which doesn't have any dome lights except for the little tiny guy back here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also we should probably just end this here pretty soon because
I'm starting to get all speckly.
Well, and the rain's gonna kill the microphone too.
Okay, so movie fantastic. Orson Scott Card is an idiot, but I'm still seeing that movie. What do you got?
Movie good. Good.
So
Come
good.
on, if you guys have been watching these, you know how many good movies I've gotten this year. I'm really fucking happy
right
right
now.
Yeah. It's I did the countdown the other night, just looking at it, and I've seen at least 13 movies that I fucking hated this year.
Oh.
That's more than one a month. It's horrible. And that doesn't mean the rest of the movies I saw I really liked either. It meant they were there.
Passable.
Yeah. I've seen like 2 movies I really fucking loved this year.
Well, that's good.
This is one of them, and it makes me happy.
So Dave's happy. The end.